Things we're making Thursday, things we're making Thursday, things we're making Thursday, yeah, yeah. There's a stupid car coming. The police. Hey there, and welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas, and after a lot of teasing over the past few weeks, may I proudly present to you the fabulous Eckard bag. But before I tell you all about the beautiful Eckard bag and how to make it, I will just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about things we're making Thursday, #TWMT. It's a crochet collab hosted by Heather from Strings and Threads. Of course, you will find all the information in the description below. And each month there's a different theme, and every crocheter is invited to join and using the #TWMT to create their own project fitting to the month's theme. And in the month of May, the theme is bags. And of course, as a total bagaholic, I just had to make another bag because you can never have too many bags, in my opinion. And here we are with the Eckard bag. Now you might wonder, why is this called the Eckard bag? And there's a little story behind it. If you're not into stories, feel free to skip, of course. So a few weeks ago, my boyfriend Eckard sent a video to Heather from Strings and Threads with a specific Tunisian crochet stitch, this one right here, and she loved the stitch, so she created a project inspired by Eckard, the Eckard shawl. And when I first saw this beautiful stitch, I knew I had to make something with it as well. So I asked her, do we have like a real name of the stitch, or is it completely unknown? And then she said there was nothing in the description, so I told her, let's just call it the Eckard stitch, the Tunisian crochet Eckard stitch. And so she made the shawl and I made the bag. So again, it's like an inspiration of all kinds of levels, which I absolutely love. So in the end, I took the Tunisian crochet Eckard stitch and created my little project with it, this beautiful bag. It's basically a wrap in 3 ways and then combined as a bag. So for me, this is definitely the it bag of the season. It's super pretty. The colors are awesome. Of course, feel free to use all the colors that you might like. Just make sure to use one solid colored yarn and one variegated yarn to get like this multi-color effect. And of course, you can put so many things in it, not just a phone, but also your wallet, your car keys, your tissues, whatever you need during the day, and you will always look absolutely fabulous. So now I'm really happy that I have another Tunisian crochet project for my channel. It's been a while since the last time, but I'm absolutely obsessed with these beautiful Eckard bags, and I'm pretty sure you will be too. It's the good kind of obsession, right? So are you ready to get to know how to make the beautiful, fabulous Eckard bag? Here we go. So here's what you need if you want to make yourself one of my super cute and fun Eckard bags. First up, the yarn. I'm using, of course, 2 colors so that the pattern of the stitch really pops out and shines through. And I'm going to choose for my first color, which I will always refer to as color A, with this Twister Solid XL from Hobbii in this super beautiful dark blue. And my second color, or color B, is the Frutta, also from Hobbii. It's a 100% cotton, and the color is color 11. I think it was lollipop or cotton candy or something like this. Something really fun and summery. And I forgot to mention that this one here is a cotton mix. It's 55% cotton and 45% acrylic. So this is the yarn that I'm going to pick for this tutorial. And when you pick your yarn, make sure that it's a cotton or at least a cotton mix, because I think those work the best for bags in particular. And also make sure to have a great color contrast between the 2 colors, color A and color B, just so that the pattern really looks super beautiful and awesome. Then, since this is a Tunisian crochet project, finally another Tunisian crochet project on my channel, I'm going to use, of course, a Tunisian crochet hook. I'm using the one with the cable. I mean, our bag isn't that long. If you do have like a straight Tunisian crochet hook or a longer regular crochet hook, you can always use that. The size that I'm using is a 6 to 6.5 millimeter. Unfortunately, the color went off, but I can tell you it's a 6 or 6.5 millimeter. I'm not sure myself, but since this is Tunisian crochet, always go up 1 or 2 hook sizes, even though on the yarn it says to use a smaller hook size. Then, of course, some scissors and, as always, a yarn needle to sew in yarn ends. And for the handles, I'm going to use again the lobster locks and the D-rings. In my previous tutorial, the yarn bag, I already incorporated them, and I still have some of those, and I want to incorporate them as well. And I forgot to mention that you would also need a regular crochet hook. For this hook, make sure that it has the size that works for the yarn that you're using. In my case, it's a 4 millimeter crochet hook. You probably can't read it, but it's a 4 millimeter, and you definitely need this for the sides and to finish everything off. And we are good to go. I'm going to start preparing my yarn first so that I have them. Let's see, usually for the Frutta they have like 2 strands right here, so that in the end one of those is the right one. Let's see, I think it's the yellow. Here we go. And like that, normally this part here should then just stop somewhere, or maybe not. Oh, it's here. Awesome, now I have 2 yarn ends coming from the center. Pretty awesome. But I think, yes, the yellow is not where we start. So just in case you ever want to use the Frutta, which is one of the most beautiful cotton yarns that I've seen, with a beautiful color gradient. Here's how you get like the centerpiece out, and I just put it aside because of course we are going to start with color A. And for the twister solid, I think there's an easy start label here. Here it is. And now we can start. And since this is more a over the shoulder bag, it's not that many stitches in the beginning. And of course I'm going to start with an I-cord. So I take aside a good amount of yarn. Usually you could say 3 times the size, but since I don't know the size right now and I don't have my other sample bag with me, I will just leave a good amount of yarn to the side and then just start with a slip knot, put it on my hook, and then start making the I-cord. And the I-cord, as always, goes as follows. You take the yarn end and wrap it around from the front, and then you take the yarn that goes to your yarn ball and wrap it around from the back, and then pull that last loop through the Tunisian crochet hook in this case. And we do this 31 times, so our stitch count for this project is going to be 31. And don't get irritated that this looks a little bit too loose and too wide. I mean, it's still Tunisian crochet later on, and it will all make sense. Of course, you can always start the project with a chain if you want to. If you're more familiar with the chain, then do it with the chain. And in that case, make sure to chain 31, and then your last one is already on the hook, and then take the back loops. I will just make my 31 I-cord stitches first. So here we go, my I-cord of 31 stitches, and now I will just turn my work. I already have my first loop on the hook, so I can go directly into the next stitch from there and go in there, yarn over and pull the loop through, and then of course keep it on your hook. And we do this right until the end, so we are just picking up the loops as we would usually do with Tunisian crochet. And at the end of this round you will have And at the end of this round, you will have 31 loops on your hook. And here we go, 31 loops on my Tunisian crochet hook. And now we can start with the return pass, and the return pass is going to be the same for all the rounds. And if you're new to Tunisian crochet, here's how it goes. First, you yarn over and pull through one. And then you yarn over and pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, and so on, always pulling through two loops after you yarn over, and you do this right until the end. And when you reach the end, make sure to stop before you would pull through the last two loops, because this is exactly the point where we would add our color B. So I'm grabbing color B, put it over my hook, and then just pull it through so the next round can start with color B, like this. And I will also put it on the other side, because that makes it a little bit easier afterwards. So here in the front you always see those vertical bars right here, and if we would do like the Tunisian simple stitch, we would just go under each of those vertical bars and then yarn over and pull the loop through. But since this is the Eckard stitch, things go a little bit differently, and we have to like start first of all incorporating our color B to our project, and then also to create the pattern and the stitch. And this we do as follows. We are going under the first vertical bar and we don't do anything with it. Then we go to the next one, yarn over with color B and pull the loop through, and of course keep it on the hook. Then pick up the next vertical bar, don't do anything with it, go one further and pull the loop through, pick up and then pull through. And like this we are getting alternating colored loops on our hook, and we do this all the way. So now at the end there are basically two loops left, the first one here, so we could just pick it up, and then our border, our corner, and we will just go underneath both of the loops here on the side, yarn over and pull it through, so that we have the continuation of the alternating loops all the way. And now we are good to go for our next return pass. And of course we do this with our color B. And again we yarn over and pull through just one loop, and then we yarn over and pull through two all the way. And then again, when there are only two loops left, we leave color B and grab color A again and finish the round with the next color. In the end, you will also see that you will get alternating stitches on each of the sides, which later on also makes it super easy to count. And now we can start with the next round. And in this and all the following rounds, we will only make stitches in the loops or in the vertical bars that have the same color like the color that we are working with. In this case, it's color A. So the first bar is right here. It's the one that we skipped in the previous round, and it has the same color. So we yarn over and pull the loop through. Then we have color B. We skip that and continue with the next stitch and pull the loop through. And we do this all the way. And in the end, since our last loop is right here before our border or before our corner, we are just again going underneath both of the loops from the previous round and pull it through. And like this, we are done. We can then go back with our return pass. I'll show it one more time. Yarn over and pull through one, yarn over and pull through two, and yarn over, pull through two, all the way until, of course, there are two loops left to then change the color back to color B. And here we go, two loops left, and I'm just going to pick up color B and pull it through to finish the round. And I think you can already see that the pattern starts to show, and it will show even more once you made a few rounds. So let's not waste any time. So we start the next round. It's a color B round, so we pick up the first loop, and then here's the next sidebar in our color, and then here we make the stitch, and for all the other ones, the dark blue ones, we just pick them up and don't do anything. Here we go, two loops. We just leave color B behind, grab color A and pull it through. And here you can see the pattern a little bit more. I love the little bit of color or yellow that's coming right in there. And this is basically it. Always make stitches where you have the same color, and then always pick up those loops that are in the other color. And we do this until we have 50 rounds for the front, 50 rounds for the back, and 5 rounds or 7 rounds, depending on how wide you want to have your Eckard bag, for the bottom of the bag. So in total, I'm going to make 105 rounds for my Eckard bag. And of course, you can place stitch markers after every 10th or 20th round. That's absolutely okay. And you can always easily count it here on the sides. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. And now we are in round 5. So you can always use the sides to identify in what round you're in. And from there, I will just leave you to it. Have fun. It is such a beautiful pattern in 2 colors without thinking too much. You just have to switch the colors and have fun. Choose a fun yarn like the one I have here. I think it was called Cotton Candy or something like this. It reminds me a lot of candy and summer sweets and ice cream. Yes, ice cream, yummy ice cream. And I will meet you once I have made my mistakes. Once I have made my 105 rounds, and I'll see you then. Welcome back. Here's how it looks after 105 rounds. I mean, I am absolutely in love with this color transitions, and I think it looks just super fun and beautiful. And before we continue, it's time to do a little bit of preparation for creating the sides. And for that, I'm going to take my work to the back so I can see my stitches on the side a bit better. So each panel, the front and the back, is basically 50 rounds or 50 rows. Then we have 5 stitches for the bottom, and then again 5 for the back. And to help us later on creating the sides, because we are going to crochet them on, we have to mark the individual panels with stitch markers. Personally, I think this helps a lot later on to assemble the back, because as I already showed you in the beginning of the video, this is like just a very long wrap that we then later on put together as a bag. So I'm going to take stitch markers, and I will place my first stitch marker in the first round here on the side, and the same I can also do already on the other side. And now it's counting to 50. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we are. This is round 50 right here. And let's see, this should be here on the other side as well. But just in case, I'm going to count the other side as well, just to be sure. And 50, so this was correct. Then I'm going to place another stitch marker in my first stitch for the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they also have the same color in the 5th one. And then I'm going to place a stitch marker right here, so that in the end here the inner stitch markers are for the bottom of the bag, and those two are the last 2 stitches on each side when we go down. And of course the same thing we are going to make on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. And the first one from the side already. And now we just count 50 again, because this will then be the back side of our bag. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is right here. Don't get confused with this stitch marker right here. This was basically where my Tunisian hook, this was basically where my Tunisian crochet hook would be, but the 50th stitch is right here. And let's do this on the other side, and I'm going to just count it as well. So the first one is 1, 2, 3. And here we go. It is right here. And from there we can continue, because up next we are going to add 30 more rows or 30 more rounds to our piece before we can then assemble the bag. So I'm going back to where I stopped. And of course now I can take the stitch marker out. This was just like to help myself not to lose the stitch. And of course I'm going to take my primary color to the back so I can start again. So I'll meet you once you've made the next 30 rows. See you then. So here we are. The piece got bigger, and I also love the bluish gradient here. It looks like a swimming pool or the ocean. So the last round ended with my color A. So instead of switching back to color B or color 2, I'm going to finish this with my primary color. And now I take my Tunisian hook out. And now I'm switching to my regular crochet hook, because now we are just finishing the flap. And to finish Tunisian crochet, we chain 1, and then we go stitch by stitch underneath our front loop, yarn over, pull it through, and slip stitch. And again in the next stitch or in the next front bar, yarn over, pull it through, and slip stitch. And of course we do this all the way. And here we go, the last one. Then we chain 1, and now we can cut the yarn, both yarns actually, and make sure to leave a longer bit of yarn from color 1. And we can also cut color B. And now we just pull the yarn through. And now we turn. And here you can also see the beautiful stripes in the back. And now let's finish the flap. And for that, I'm going to take my yarn end on my yarn needle. And now what we're going to do is to flip this part over like that. It's completely up to you how long you want the flap to be. So I'm going something like this, 2.5 of the pattern. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a same colored side stitch right here, and I will just connect it there. And then I will go in the first stitch here. And now we can go along, because you always have like this vertical bar, so you can always see where the same colored loops are. And I will just go stitch by stitch, first in the top and then one from the bottom. And like that, you always know that you're in the right row, which is of course awesome. And we do this right until the end to create like our flap for the back. And I'll meet you once I'm at the end. And here we are. On the other side, the same thing. like that. And now we can also bring the two together. And let's do a double knot, because we are going to hide them in there anyway. Take them both on my yarn needle, and then I will go in here and take it along. And now I will just cut the rest off. And like that, our flap is done. Of course, feel free to like stretch it out a little bit. You can also block it. My other bags I haven't blocked, and they worked absolutely fine. But again, if you prefer like a super straight bag, then definitely block it. And that means the biggest part of the bag is done. Now we have to like take the sides together and create like the depth of the bag, because our flap is already done. So in the end, the bag will most likely look like this. And I absolutely love the colors. I mean, so flashy and beautiful. So before we then continue with the sides, I will then just make the strap. And I will show you very quickly how to do that. It's just 5 stitches per row. And if you have made it this far, then the strap is absolutely no issue at all, because we do basically the same thing, just in a smaller format. First, we start with our I-cord, and as I mentioned, we make 5, and as I mentioned, we make 5 I-cord stitches. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we pick up the loops for the first round. 3, 4, and the last one. And now the return pass, as we did it before: yarn over, pull through 1, then yarn over, pull through 2, through 2, through 2. And once there are 2 loops left, we then pick our second color, put it over your hook and pull it through, just like that. And now we continue with our pattern. First, we pick the next loop up, then we go into the middle loop and yarn over and pull it through. We pick up the fourth one, and then of course our border stitch like that. So we have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way. And when there are 2 left, leave color B behind and finish the round with color 1, and then color 1, make the stitch, pick up the third, a stitch in the fourth, and in the last one. So when we work the main color, it's 1 1 2 1 1, and you'd basically do this for as long as you want your strap to be. Make sure to test it in between to see how long it is, and then of course add the lobster locks, but I will later also show you how to add them, and I'll see you once you have your strap almost done. Have fun! This is going to be quick and super easy. So here we go, my strap is almost done. Unfortunately, not that many color changes, but that's how it is when you work with color changing yarn. And now we do it like we did it with the flap before. We switch the hook and then chain 1 and then grab all the bars in the front and slip stitch to finish the strap. Here's the last one, then chain 1 again, and then we can cut both of the yarns, pull the yarn through, and now we are just going to take the lobster lock and put it in, find like a horizontal bar in the back that you feel like would work, and then I will take the yarn end on my yarn needle, and now I will just go through those stitches to connect it. So really exactly the same way like we had it with the flap of our bag. So it's super easy. And our last stitch is right here, like that. And now what I also do, because later on the strap will curl up, I will just go back onto the other side and go underneath it, and then take both parts together, and we can actually do this one more time. And like that, it also has a little knot. And now I will just go along and go through some of the stitches right here to just bring it in. And now I will also take this to the other side. Where my other yarn is, and now I will simply make a double knot and cut it, because like that the strap is done. And what I absolutely love about making the straps with Tunisian crochet is that now when you stretch it out, it rolls together quite beautifully to create such a super beautiful strap. So this is done. We can now go back to our bag, because of course now we have to incorporate the sides, and we also have to add the D-rings. So I'm taking this out again. Here were our stitch markers, and now I'm going to this side. It doesn't actually really matter what side you're using. For the finish of the bag, we are only going to use our color A and the regular crochet hook, and I will start by making a slip knot. And now we are basically working from the inside out. So what I will do is to search for my first stitch right here on the side. Then I take my hook from the top in, and then I go through the next stitch from the bottom. So now I have the 2 stitches on my hook, and now I will grab the yarn over, and I will just pull it through both of the stitches on the side so that I have 2 loops on my hook, and then I yarn over and pull it through as a single crochet. And now we continue. So now the first stitch was the last stitch that we had before, and then we go to the next one from the bottom up and make a single crochet. Then again from the top, then from underneath, and single crochet. So what it does is that we create like our height for the sides, basically on the inside, while keeping the beautiful stitches in the front. So we are working sideways, which is of course pretty awesome since we are working on the sides. And we basically do this all the way until we reach the last stitch marker. And once you reach the first stitch marker, you will find out that from our 50 initial stitches, we are now at a stitch count of 49, like all the way to here, which is correct. So from now on, we have like 49. We take the stitch marker out and place it in this 49th stitch that we had, and we can also take this one out because now we just make 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is the next stitch marker, so we know that everything was correct so far. I will just place the stitch marker in the first stitch. I will remove this and I will remove the next one. So those are really just helpers to know where we are, because since we are working in between stitches, it's definitely very helpful to see where we are. And then we make our first from the side, and then again add the stitch marker, so we know this is the first stitch. And of course, now when we had 49 on this side, then we also have to have 49 going up, and I will meet you once I have them. And here we go, the last one. So of course, since we basically decreased, we are stopping one stitch shy of our stitch marker, which is okay. We don't need this anymore. This was just, again, a helper. And now we are turning our work, because now we go back down, all with single crochets. So without chaining, we go back into the same stitch where we were and make a single crochet, and from there on another single crochet. And once we reach our 49th and the first from the bottom, we will see each other again, because then we will crochet those two together. But this will be in a little bit. And here we are, the next two we are going to crochet together. So we can take the stitch markers out. And the way how to crochet them together is quite simple. You go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull it through. Then we go into the next stitch already, yarn over, pull it through. Then yarn over, 3 loops on the hook, and we are going to pull through all 3 of them. And then, just for helper reasons, we place the stitch marker in there. Then we have 3 more single crochets in the bottom. 1, 2, and 3. And then we have the next 2, and we do the same thing. We crochet them together. So again, in the stitch, yarn over, pull it through. In the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through. And then yarn over and pull through all of the loops. Stitch marker back in. And if you want to, we can also add stitch markers in the middle, because in the next round we are going to crochet those 2 together, leaving just 1 stitch in the center. But for that, we of course just have to go up and down again. So I'll meet you once I made it all the way right back to here. And here we go, taking the stitch markers out, and first crocheting the next 2 together like that. And now I only need 1 stitch marker, then we have 1 single crochet, and then the next single crochet together, 1 and 2, and then we continue all along, and then after that we are already set to crochet both sides together for our sides. And here we are, and now we are going to take both sides together inside out, so we always have like our inside on the out. And now what we are going to do is to just easily crochet the 2 pieces together. So I'm going into the first stitch here in the front, and I will take the first stitch from the other side, and I will just make a single crochet to connect them, and I will just continue like this, stitch by stitch. And of course, once we reach our last stitches, and I mean, if you have missed one, it doesn't really matter. I think I missed one too. And now I will just go underneath the last one, wherever it is, and I will just slip stitch, cut my yarn, pull it through. Because now what I also always do is I take my yarn end and I will just take this from here and pick a stitch right there, just to give it like a little bit of tension on the side, to pull it a little bit more together to get it slightly more roundish. And then we can finish it off. One knot. Let's make another one somewhere else, like here. And then I will just go along my side. Because that is going to be the inside of our bag anyway. And cut it. And now when you turn it, you get the side of the bag that looks like this. I think it's quite pretty, and I also love how this side seam really pops out. Of course, in the end, make sure to like stretch out your bag a little bit. That's all right. And now we, of course, have to do the same thing with the other side. It works exactly the same, so I'll meet you once we have it. So the sides are now both connected, and the only thing left that we have to do now is to incorporate the D-ring. And this goes quite simple. So I'm going to take my D-ring, take the yarn, put it on the hook, and release it so that I can just keep the little loop right here. And up here I had my starting row from the I-cord. So I will take the stitch marker out and I will just go in this last stitch right here, then take my slip knot on there and just pull it through. And if you do have some yarn ends here, it's absolutely alright. We can incorporate them. And now I will also take my D-ring and put it on there. And now we go in the first stitch here on the side and pull it through, and make sure that all your yarn ends are in between. And we make a single crochet, then we go somewhere in between here. We had 5 stitches for our sides, so let's just make 5 stitches in there, then one in the middle, one here, and the last one somewhere here. Like that. And now what we can do is already cut the yarn and yarn over and pull it through, because now we are just going to sew everything together. And for that I'm going in between here, just connecting it like that, and then we go through the last stitch. And what I love to do is to basically go up and down along the D-ring, and also making a little knot just to keep everything in place along the way. And of course to make sure that the D-ring is not too loose and everything is well connected. Let's go for here. Like that. And then I go back up. Of course I lost the yarn as always. Like this. And now I can also take my yarn and that I had here, and I will just flip it over and take it along. So then I have all yarn ends on the same side. And I think this should be enough to keep everything together. And then we still have a few yarn ends here, but since we crocheted over them quite a few times, I'm just going to cut them all. And you know what that means. We have to do the same thing on the other side. And then guess what? The bag is done. And like that, our beautiful bag is done. Make sure to take all the remaining stitch markers out. Of course, you can still stretch it out a little bit. It will find its form once you put something in there. You can also place a book in there and just stretch it out. And now I can also incorporate my handle, and like that, the beautiful Eckard bag is done. And I'm absolutely in love with how this looks like. This pattern is just beautiful and so fun. And have fun with the beautiful Eckard bag. So what do you think of my beautiful Eckard bag? I hope you like it, and I hope you will make a few of those for yourself, or just one, but I usually can't stop with just one when it comes to bags. And remember to use the hashtag TWMT if you want to create something for things we're making Thursday, and also watch out for the posts from Heather about the schedule and the future topics for the month. And then just join in, it's really fun, and Thursdays now make some sense, at least. And of course, I hope to see you back again next time, only at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. And a little birdie told me it won't be that long. You will see me again next time for a month packed with tutorials and videos, because it's going to be Battle of the Stitches. And I'm so excited. And until then, happy crocheting, or happy Tunisian crocheting. Bye. Look, it's such a pretty day. And I'll take you around with me. And in true Totally Fierce tradition, I will give you a little bit of nature and where I am right now. So I absolutely love those big, wild, grassy flower fields. I think they're so pretty. And when I saw them this morning, I just had to go in and do something. There's a little, whatever it is, in there. Such beautiful cornflowers. It is so windy today. I have no idea if this works with the sound. I always have to wait. But look how beautiful the bags are. Now I just wish the sun would shine if she sees me.